Last time we were discussing the super elevation, the concept of super elevation. So super elevation is provided to resist the centripetal force which you encounter when you are trying to turn your vehicle along the curve. So we raise the outside edge of the road so that the vehicle is having extra support when it is trying to turn towards the curve, and the outside edge is basically pushing the vehicle towards the curve itself. Okay. Now we discussed there are two stages for super elevation. One is super elevation runoff, and the other one is super elevation. Oh, sorry, other one is tangent runout. Super elevation runoff and tangent runout. Now we will start the discussion with super elevation runoff. Okay. Now you need to tell me super elevation runoff means what? What is happening with the slope, the cross slope of the road during super elevation runoff? What is happening with the cross sectional slope of the road? Yes, tell me. Go ahead. And I put this picture here. Okay, this slide on so that it can refresh your memory, you know, about the stages of the super elevation rotation. So when I say super elevation runoff, what am I doing with the cross slope of the road? Yeah, anyone?
0.
It is 0 and going where? It starts with 0 and ends with? Super elevation is the length, right? So during the length, the slope is changing. So it is changing from 0 to what? The answer is in the name. I'm saying super elevation.
Full super elevation.
Full super elevation. Yes. Okay. Good. This is the stage, right? This is the stage from 0 to full super elevation. This is super elevation runoff, and this part is what we call as tangent runout, when the slope cross slope is changing from normal to flat for the outside lane. Okay. For now, make one change here in your book. They are using the terminology LR here in the equation. Okay, so we will use LR. LR means super elevation runoff. LR means super elevation runoff. Okay. So yeah, I think in the book they are using the term LS, but I found the equation from another book, so they are using the word LR. So it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. We have LR here. Okay. So LR is the length of super elevation runoff. How much length you need to go from flat or 0 to full super elevation? This is the equation. In the equation you see we have W. W is the width of the lane, width of one lane, width of one lane, not the width of the road, width of one lane. Okay, and normally width of all the lanes on the road is the same. It will not happen that one lane has 10 feet, the other one has 12 feet and so on. No, if one lane is 10 feet, the other lanes are also 10 feet. If one lane is 12 feet, then the other are also 12 feet. Okay, so at one lane, the width of the lane doesn't change. So W will be the same for all the lanes. So whatever is the width of one lane, you will take it as W. Then ED is the super elevation you want to achieve. Okay, what super elevation you want to achieve in the end. Okay, delta is the relative gradient. Okay, the transition, the rate of transition of the slope, the rate of change of slope. Okay, so during super elevation runoff, you are changing your flow from 0 to full super elevation, right? So at what rate you are changing it? That is delta, the rate of change of slope, the rate of change of gradient. Okay, so delta depends upon the speed, and you have this table here. So if you know the design speed of the road, you can get the value of maximum relative gradient from here. Okay, and it is given in decimals. Okay, but you can represent it as percentage as well. But obviously for the equation we need it in decimals. When you want to put delta in that equation, you want it in decimals. Okay, N1 number of lanes rotated. N1 is number of lanes rotated. If I go back here, you can see here they are saying one lane rotated, but you can see two lanes here. So number of lanes rotated means the outside lanes. The outside number of lanes. Okay. So from the center line, how many lanes you have on the outside towards the outside edge. Okay. So if there are 2 lanes, then obviously you are rotating 1 lane. Okay. If there are 4 lanes, then you're rotating. The number of outside lanes are 2. If there are 6 lanes, then the number of outside lanes are 3. Okay. So N1 will be the half of the lanes of the highway. Half of the lanes of the highway, because you are considering the outside lanes, and N1 is the number of lanes rotated, which is the number of outside lanes. So N1 will become half of the lanes of the road. Okay. Then you have an adjustment factor BW. Okay. And that also depends upon the value of N1. You can see adjustment factor for number of lanes rotated. Number of lanes rotated is the N1. Number of outside lanes. Okay. Half of the lanes of the road. Okay. So BW is 1 for 1 lane, 0.75 for 2 lanes, and 0.67 for 3 lanes. If you go back to the highway engineering textbook, you will see BW for 4 lanes and 5 lanes and so on as well. Okay. But in reality, it is not required. BW for more than 3 lanes may not be required. Why? Even for 2 lanes, even when N1 is 2, you may not be required. In many cases, you may not be required to rotate 2 lanes. If it is a 4-lane highway, now what happens when number of lanes increase? What do? You provide a median. Okay, when you have a 6-lane highway, you have a 8-lane highway, then you between the 2 directions you will have a median. Okay, I told you last time, when you put a median, then the super elevation is achieved separately or is taken separately for each direction of the highway because of the median. Median will become like a barrier between the 2 directions. So for example, I have 6-lane highway, 6-lane highway. So 6 lane means each direction has 3 lanes. Okay, or let's say I have 4-lane highway. If I have 4-lane highway, then each direction has 2 lanes. Between these 2 directions, I have a median. Okay. Now I am providing super elevation for the right hand side and for the left hand side direction separately. So right hand side has how many lanes? 2 lanes. Okay. So I will take it separately. Okay. I will not consider 4 lanes now because of the median. So I will just consider 2 lanes. So if you are considering 2 lanes, then the number of outside lanes are 1. Okay. So then BW will be for 1 lane. Okay. Like I said, if you encounter a problem where you have to take 4 lanes and 6 lanes as number of lanes rotated, then you have the books where the value of BW is given. But I'm just explaining why they did not go beyond 3 lanes here. Because even if you have 6-lane highway, then you will have a median in between them, then each direction will be taken separately. So each direction will only have 3 lanes. Okay. Or each direction will have 2 lanes or 4 lanes or whatever, and the number of outside lanes will be half of it. The number of outside lanes will be half of it. Half of the lanes on one side. So if you have 2 lanes on each side, then number of lanes rotated will become 1 again. Okay. So this is why BW will not be required. Most probably will not be required for more number of lanes. Okay. Now, why do we put the value of BW here? BW is put as a check. Okay. If you do not put BW and keep on increasing N1, then LR will keep on increasing, right? N1 is directly proportional to LR. See, multiplied. So LR will keep on increasing with the number of lanes. So BW is a check because we don't want to make LR too long. Okay, you have to achieve super elevation as fast as possible so that the driver can reach the curve with full super elevation. Okay, so we are saying here, for example, if you have 2 lanes, then BW is 0.75. So we are saying whatever LR you are getting, take 75% of it. Okay, so for 2 lanes, we are taking 75% of LR. For 3 lanes, we are taking 67% of LR. For 4 lanes, the value is not given here, but for 4 lanes, we take 50% of LR. Okay, so BW is a check, adjustment factor, as they have written here, adjustment factor, because we don't want to have too long LR because it will delay the curve. It will delay coming to the curve. Okay, so we don't want that. So we want to achieve the LR as fast as possible. Okay, we want to achieve the super elevation as fast as possible. This is the case. Okay, let us look at this example. We have example of 4-lane highway. See, 4-lane highway. Super elevation you want to achieve 0.04 or 4%. If it's a 4-lane highway, then how many lanes rotated? 2 lanes. See, 2 lanes. Each lane is 12 feet. Okay, and it would rotate around the center line, like I showed you in the figure last lecture. Okay, design speed is 60 miles per hour. Okay, now let me go back and I will write down this data with the equation so that you can use it. Okay, so design speed is given 60 miles per hour. Super elevation is given 0.04. Okay, number of lanes rotated given 2. Okay, first of all, tell me the value of delta. 60 miles per hour speed. How much is delta?
0.0045.
Yeah, 0.0045. Okay, so you know delta, which is this one. Okay, what about BW? How much will be BW?
0.75.
0.75. Okay, so delta is 0.0045, BW is 0.75. Give me the value of LR. We have everything now, right?
$160.
160. Okay, fine. This is good. This is correct. LR is 160 feet. Okay, LR is 160 feet. Now we will move on. Any problems? Any confusion? All is good. Okay. Now we will move on to the second part of, not the second part, is actually the first part, which is tangent runout. Again, going back to the figure here, this length, when the normal slope is going to flat, tangent runout, LT, tangent runout, LT. Okay. So LT is calculated using this equation. E and C means normal crown slope. Okay, slope of the normal crown before you started super elevation. Okay, that slope. And ED is the super elevation you want, and LR is super elevation runoff, the length which you calculated in the previous example. So if I come back to the figure here, although LR is this one and LT is this one, so LR happens after LT. LR comes after LT. First you go to flat and then you go from flat to full super elevation. But in terms of calculation, you need to calculate LR first. You need to calculate LR first, and then you will go for the calculation of LT. Okay, because LR is required in the calculation of LT. Okay, so in the field, first you have LT, then you have LR, but in terms of calculation, first calculate LR, then LT. Okay, so we already have the value of LR, which was 160 feet. We know ED for the last example was 0.04. Now, if normal slope for that example is, let's say, 0.01, the normal crown slope, the normal drainage cross slope of the road is, let's say, 0.01. Okay, so if you put 0.01 here, 0.04 ED and LR is 160, then you get LT as 40 feet. LT will become 40 feet. So the total length you need to transition from 0.01 to 0.04 full super elevation is 160 plus 40. 160 is what? LR, and 40 is what? LT. Okay, so 40 feet required to go from 0.01 to flat, and 160 feet required to go from flat to 0.04 ED. Okay, so the total length required to go from normal to full super elevation is 200 feet. Okay. Now for comfortable operation of the driver, for the comfort of the driver, 60 to 80% of runoff, this value, 60 to 80% of runoff should take place on the tangent. 60 to 80% of the super elevation runoff, the value of LR should be on the tangent. Okay, for comfortable operation of the vehicle, for comfort of the driver. Okay, so that when he reaches the curve, he has almost achieved the full super elevation. Almost 60 to 80% is, very close to full super elevation. So when he reaches the curve, 60 to 80% of the transition of the runoff has already happened. So he is very close to achieving the full super elevation when he is entering the curve. Now my question is, if 60 to 80% of this is happening on the tangent, then where is this 40 feet happening? Is it happening on the tangent or on the curve? If 60 to 80% of super elevation runoff is on the tangent, then where will this 40 feet of tangent runout will happen? On the tangent or on the curve? Yes, go ahead.
Doctor,
Yeah,
from where we got the 40?
from this equation. ENC is 0.01. We are doing it for the previous example, okay? This example. So ED is already given. LR you calculated 160 feet. Okay, so in this equation I needed ED and LR and I needed ENC. So ENC is given as 0.01. Okay, clear?
Clear, Doctor.
Okay, now answer my question. See how quickly I answered your question. You should answer my question with the same, speed. My question was, if they are saying 60 to 80% of runoff should happen on the tangent, then this tangent runout length should happen where? On the tangent or on the curve? Where are we supposed to change the normal slope to flat? On the tangent or on the curve?
On the curve.
On the curve? Sure?
I'm not sure about it.
Not sure about it. I know. You're not sure about it. I told you, this is super elevation runoff. This is super elevation runoff. Okay, 60 to 80% of this should happen on the tangent. 60 to 80% of this should happen on the tangent. This is tangent runout. If this is happening on the tangent, 60 to 80% of this is happening on the tangent, then this will happen where? What comes first, the tangent or the curve? Huh? What comes first, the tangent or the curve? What do we have first?
Tangent.
Huh? The tangent, right?
Tangent.
So
The tangent.
if from the second stage 60 to 80% is happening on the tangent, then the first stage will happen where? Yeah. If something from the second stage is happening on the tangent, then the first stage will automatically happen where? You said tangent comes first, right? So if second is part of second stage is happening on the tangent, then the first stage is happening where? Come on, I made it too easy for you guys.
Tangent.
Tangent, yeah. Tangent, obviously. Okay. So the LR or the super elevation runoff is the second stage. If the second stage is still happening on the tangent, then obviously the first stage has already happened, right? So tangent runout happens totally on the tangent, and they are saying 60 to 80% of the super elevation runoff should also happen on the tangent. Okay. So we are still on the tangent when we are doing 60 to 80% of the, so 40 feet will be across or along the tangent, and 60 to 80% of 160 feet will also be along the tangent, okay, normally. And they are saying most preferred value is 67%. So 2/3 of the 2/3, right? 67% means what? 2/3. So 40 feet full on the tangent runout full on the tangent, and out of super elevation runoff 67% on the tangent, okay, and the remaining 33% on the curve. Now normally if it is a class, okay, then I can see your faces and I know that you have understood or not. If you have any confusion, you have to ask me, okay. I don't know, okay, whether I've explained myself enough or not. So I will not know until you ask, okay. And this is something which I don't like about the online classes. And this is why I think to some of you may remember I told you that you should open your cameras and so on for the highway course. But obviously we have other issues with that. I will not ask you for that. But anyways, the point is, you have confusion, ask me. Otherwise, I don't know. Okay. Otherwise, I'm very proud that when I look at the faces of the students, I can tell whether they have understood or not. But now I cannot do that. Okay, with online classes. Okay. Now we will come to the concept of a spiral or transition curves. Spiral transition curves. Okay. In some books they call it spiral curves only. In some books they call it transition curves only, which means the same thing. Okay. So why do we provide a spiral transition curve? I think I explained it in the last lecture as well, that a spiral and transition curves are provided between the tangent and the circular curve. Okay. And the purpose is to gradually change the degree of curvature for the driver. Okay, so when you are on the tangent, for example, you are let me make it here, if I can do that. So this is the tangent, this is the curve, okay, and you can see the curve is directly starting at the tangent. So at this point and this cross point, the driver will go from a straight line to the curve immediately, instantly, okay. But if you don't want to do that, you can do it like this. So you have the tangent, you have the circular curve, okay, and between them, let me use another color here, and between them you give a spiral curve. Okay, again, as I said, don't mind my drawing. So from this point to this point, the curvature for the driver will change gradually. In this figure, it was changing suddenly at this point, but in this figure, in this case, it is changing gradually along the spiral curve. Okay, so a spiral curve spiral curve is a curve with changing degree of the curvature. Okay, its degree of curvature changes at every point, or in other words, its radius changes at every point. Okay, so it's a higher degree curve than a circular curve. Compared to a circular curve, a spiral curve is of a higher degree. So when the spiral curve starts, its degree is 0, which is the degree of the tangent. A straight line has a degree of curvature equal to 0. Okay, and if you go back to the equation of degree of the curve, you will see that degree of the curve is has r in the denominator. Okay, so if degree is 0, that means r is infinity, radius is infinity. So a spiral curve starts with a degree of curvature 0 or r equals to infinity, then it will gradually increase the degree of the curve, or in other words, it will gradually decrease the radius from infinity till it reaches the curve. Okay, so here the degree of the curve is 0, and here the degree of the curve is equal to the degree which you require for the circular curve. So here r is equal to infinity, and here r is equal to the radius of the circular curve. Okay, so spiral curve, the main idea of providing the spiral curve, that the driver has a change in path or a change in curvature gradually, step by step, instead of doing it at one point like in the above case. So since a spiral curve is a more complex curve, a higher degree curve. So its construction is also more complicated and it is more costly as well. Okay, so although its spiral curve has its own advantages, but the disadvantage is problems in construction. Okay, a circular curve is easier to make in the field as compared to a higher degree spiral transition curve. Okay, and obviously then if you are asking for me to do something more complicated as a contractor, I will ask you for more money as well. Okay, so constructing this part as a horizontal curve is easier and cheaper as compared to constructing the same length as a spiral curve. Okay, so that's why many curves are provided without this transition curve. Many horizontal curves are connected to the tangent without any spiral transition curve. The main reason is the difficulty of construction and the increase in cost. Okay, in which conditions a spiral curve is considered more critical or more important, where you have high volume and where you have sharp curves. Okay, high volume or sharp curves. So high volume is something relative, but sharp curves is mainly the curves which are more than 3 degrees. So if you want to build a curve which will be sharper than 3 degree, then it is recommended that you provide a spiral curve with it, especially if it is on a high volume road. Okay, so high volume road with curves of more than 3 degrees, then you should provide a spiral transition curve for them. What are the benefits of providing the spiral curve? The first one I already told you. When you are on the curve, coming on the curve, then there are extra forces acting on the vehicle, the centrifugal and the centripetal forces. I think you should know about them from physics. Whenever you are coming around a curve, you have these two forces acting on you, towards the center, centrifugal, away from the center, centripetal. So these forces will always act on a body which is going around a curve. And if you come from the tangent to a circular curve instantly, directly, without a transition curve, then you will increase the forces acting on the vehicle instantly as well. So on the tangent, centripetal and centrifugal forces were not existing. You came onto the spiral curve and suddenly you have the full force acting on you. Okay, so with a spiral curve, these forces will also increase gradually, so it will be an easier and a more comfortable path for the driver to follow. Okay, because if the forces increase instantly to the full amount, then it will become uncomfortable for you and you will find it difficult to maintain your lane and the path. But if they are increased gradually, then you will also feel more comfort as well. Okay, second benefit is that it provides the space required to achieve super elevation runoff. So without the spiral curve, some part of runoff will be on the curve. Okay, ideally the full runoff should be before the curve. Ideally the full runoff should be before the start of the horizontal curve, the circular curve. Okay, when the driver enters a circular curve, the full super elevation should already be there. Okay, but as I told you earlier, it does not happen if you are not providing the spiral curve. If you are not providing the spiral curve, then 2/3 of it happens on the tangent and 1/3 at least will happen on the curve. Okay, or at least 20% will happen on the curve, which is not ideal. So with a spiral curve, you are going into an ideal situation where the full super elevation runoff will happen on the spiral curve. So once the driver enters the circular curve, the cross slope is already equal to full super elevation. Okay. Spiral curve also provides you the space to do widening of the road. If you need to do widening of the road, then you can also do it on the spiral curve. Now, why do you need to do widening of the road on the curves? We need to do it for the heavy vehicles. Now, what happens? Let's say this is a curve. Okay. And you have these lanes on the curve. Now, a heavy vehicle, you know the heavy vehicle as, it has a front part and then it is connected with the back container or whatever is carrying in the back. Now heavy vehicle cannot follow a circular curve because the rear wheels are, the rear body is heavier and it is wider, and the wheels are not turning for the rear body. They're the only front wheels are turning. So the heavy vehicle, when it is turning, it will go something like this. The driver has to encroach, or driver has to make a wider turn so that the rear body can follow. So it has the space for the rear body to follow the path of the vehicle. Okay, a car can turn like this, but a heavy vehicle, the driver will slightly go towards the outside edge so that the full body can make the turn. The rear body can follow the turning. Okay, otherwise it will, bump into the sides of the road. If he doesn't do that, the rear body will bump to the sides of the road. So in order to give him this extra space, we can do the widening of the road on the curvatures. Okay, so this width will be more than the width of the straight section. Why? So that the heavy vehicle has an extra space to accommodate the dragging of the rear body. Okay, so obviously you are changing the width of the road, so this width should also increase gradually. Okay, so this gradual increase and change in width will also happen on the spiral curve. So again, the perfect or the ideal situation will be that when the driver enters, the heavy vehicle driver enters the circular curve, the road is already up to the required width, the required extra width. Okay, so the point here is you need to change the slope of the road, you will do it on the spiral curve. You need to change the width of the road, you will do it on the spiral curve. So whatever transition you need to make in the cross section of the road, you will do it on the spiral curve. That's a perfect or ideal space for making these transitions. And one last point which they are saying here, I haven't observed it. I don't know if you guys have ever felt it. Okay, I don't think anybody is bothered about that, but they have mentioned that it enhances the appearance of the highway. So highway looks more beautiful with a spiral curve as compared to without a spiral curve. Okay, but obviously who cares? Who is paying so much attention to the highway? Huh? We have other things to do. We have our own mirror, right? If you want to look at beauty, we can look at ourselves, right? We are the best creation of God. Okay, a spiral curve geometry. Okay, the first thing we need to consider is length of the spiral curve. Length of the spiral curve is called as LSP. So you can see three equations here for calculating the length of spiral curve. Okay, so LSP maximum, and then we have two equations for calculating minimum length. Okay, so for minimum you have two values, you will have two values. For maximum you will have one value. Okay, from these two values, you will take the lesser value. So for example, the first equation gives you 100, the second one gives you 200. You will pick 100 feet as the minimum value. The minimum value will be 100 feet. Okay, whatever is the lesser value out of these two equations, that will become the minimum value for you. Okay, and maximum value, we only have one equation, so no problem. Okay, in these equations we are using R and S. R is the radius of the circular curve. R is the radius of the circular curve, and speed is the design speed of the road. S is the design speed of the road. Now, keep one rule in mind. Whenever I talk about R, radius of the curve, or D, degree of the curve, with the circular curve, that means I am talking about the radius of the end, the radius of the circular curve, which you will achieve at the end. Okay, when you reach the end of the spiral curve, you are entering the circular curve. So whatever radius you have at that point, we are talking about that radius and that degree of the curve, because a spiral curve doesn't have a constant radius, and a spiral curve doesn't have a constant degree of the curve as well. So R and D cannot be for a spiral curve because they are not constant values for a spiral curve. So wherever in these equations I'm using R or D, that basically means the radius and the degree of the circular curve which I will achieve at the end of the spiral curve. Okay. Now, then you have angle delta. Delta is the angle made by the spiral curve. Angle made by the spiral curve. Okay, and again we have LSP and we have D. Now D is again degree of the circular curve. That's the curve which is coming after the spiral. Okay. to understand this this relationship, come to this figure. Okay, so we have two tangents. Okay, the tangents are meeting at pi, and the angle between the tangents is delta. Okay, now I told you previously when we were discussing the horizontal curves that if the angle between the tangents is delta, then the angle made by the circular curve is also delta. But that is when spiral curve is not provided. If spiral curve is not provided, then this delta, I will call it capital delta. Okay, this triangle I will call it capital delta, and this one I will call it small delta. Okay, so triangle one is the capital delta, and this one is the small delta. So if a spiral transition curve is not provided, then the angle of the horizontal curve is equal to capital delta. Okay, but if a spiral curve is provided, then the horizontal curve is not starting at the tangent. The horizontal curve is starting here. Okay, at this, and it is ending here. Okay, so it is not meeting the tangent. If it was meeting the tangent, that means without a spiral curve, then capital delta is the angle of the curve, which is the angle of intersection of the tangents as well. But in this case, the angle of the horizontal curve will be less, because some part of delta, capital delta, is already covered by the spiral transition curve. Some part is covered at the start and some part is covered at the end as well. Okay, now how a spiral curve is provided? So you have this point, which is the start of the spiral curve. Start of the spiral curve, TS. TS means tangent to spiral. TS means tangent to spiral. Okay, tangent to spiral. So this is the start of the spiral curve. Okay, spiral curve is meeting the tangent. Then you have the length LSP, length of the spiral curve, and you will reach SC. Point SC is the end of a spiral curve. End of a spiral curve when it is meeting the circular curve. So SC means spiral to circular. Spiral to circular. Okay, then you have the length of the circular curve and you will reach CS. CS is the start of the end spiral curve. End spiral curve. So CS stands for circular to spiral. CS stands for circular to spiral. Circular to spiral. Okay. Now why do you need a spiral curve at the end? Because you gradually changed the super elevation and the width of the road. You need to gradually change it back as well. Now you are coming towards the tangent again, so you need to gradually change the cross slope and the width to the normal conditions. So for that, and again, the driver also needs a gradual change in radius and the degree of the curvature as well. So it is easier for the driver to come out of the curve and the tangent to the tangent as well. So both ends of the curve are like a mirror image. You have a spiral, then circular, then you will have circular and a spiral. Okay, the design of the curve will remain the same, but the purpose is to gradually change the curvature of the road and the direction of the driver to tangent. Okay, the start one was from tangent to circular. Now this one is from circular to tangent. So CS is circular to spiral, then you have length LSP, and then you have the last point of the spiral curve, the end spiral curve, which is spiral to tangent. Spiral to tangent. ST means spiral to tangent. Okay. Now what is angle delta? Angle delta is the angle made of the spiral curve, which is from TS to SC. Okay, the angle made between TS to SC, okay, by the spiral curve is small delta. Small delta. Okay, and again the angle made from CS to ST, okay, by the end spiral curve will also be same angle, small delta. Now if you want to calculate the delta S, angle made by the circular curve, then it will be capital delta, which is the total angle, minus small delta from here and small delta from here. So angle of the deflection angle of the circular curve will be capital delta minus 2 small deltas. And these small deltas are the deflection angles or the angles made by the spiral curve. Okay. Then we have length of the tangent. Length of the tangent is taken from TS to PI. Again, if you did not have a spiral curve, then length of the tangent is calculated by this equation, which you have already studied previously. Okay, this equation can be used to calculate length of the tangent, which will be from PC to PI. Okay, without a spiral curve. without a spiral curve. But now since you have a spiral curve, so this equation alone will not work. So you have to use this complete equation, the full equation. Okay. So this will give you the distance from TS to PI. Now TS tangent to spiral, okay, will give you. So this equation they are also calling it TS, but S in the subscript. So T subscript S, T subscript S can be calculated using this equation. And what is this distance? This is from TS to PI, beginning of the spiral curve to the point of intersection. Okay. So I will stop here. I will not stop here. Sorry. Okay, we have enough time. Okay, any questions up till now? Any questions up till now? Because then I will just show you some guidelines about the length of the spiral curve. Any questions? No questions? Everything is clear?
Doctor,
Yeah.
do we have any highway in Bahrain use that?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I'm not sure. It should be. It should be. I think the high-speed roads should have the spiral curve. Okay, it's very common. It's very normal. High-speed roads like Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Highway, the roads which have a speed of 100 and 120 kilometers per hour, I think they would have a spiral curve wherever the curve is given. So it must start and end with a spiral curve. I think this is the case. Okay, but obviously I have not seen the maps. Okay, because some students have tried getting the maps from Ministry of Works, but only few of them have succeeded, and I'm not sure about the spiral curves in those maps. Okay, it should have been. I am like 99% sure that these highways, which I've just mentioned here, have a spiral curves wherever the curve is given. Okay, I'm 99% sure, but obviously I cannot be exactly sure if somebody from the ministry cannot confirm me. Okay. Any other question? Okay. Now we have a minimum value of this length of the spiral curve and a maximum value. Okay. In between these two values, any value is applicable. In between these two values, any value is applicable. So if this value is 100, out of these two equations, the lesser value is 100, and from this equation you are getting 300. Any value between 100 and 300 is allowed. Any value between 100 and 300 is allowed. But which value would you take? There are some guidelines for that. Okay. First guideline is you can use this table. Okay. Calculate the values from the previous these equations. So you have the range. Come to this table and see if the values of the table are within the range. You can pick a value from this table. No problem. Okay. If the value which is given in the table is equal to the values, is between the values which are getting from the minimum and maximum equations, and then the value from this table can be taken as the length of the spiral curve. Okay. So those equations are only giving you the range. Now I am telling you which value exactly you can take. So you can take a value from this table if it is within the range. Okay. Second option is you calculate LT and LR, the length required to do tangent runout and super elevation runoff, and make LSP equal to LT plus LR. Length of a spiral curve equals to tangent runout plus super elevation runoff. Okay, the full transition you need to go from normal to for super elevation, you make it equal to LSP. Also allowed if, again, it is within the range of minimum and maximum. Okay, if it is within this range, within the range of these equations, then you can put LSP equals to LT plus LR, no problem. Or third option is put LSP equal to LR, super elevation runoff. So LT will happen on tangent and super elevation runoff will happen on the spiral curve. Okay, all these three things are allowed. All these three options are allowed. The only criteria is that whatever value you take in the end, it should be within the ranges of these equations. It should be within the range of these equations. Okay, if the value you want to take from the table or from LT, from LT plus LR or from LR only, if it is, for example, out of the range of these equations, then If it is less than minimum, take minimum. Okay, so for example, you decided that I will take LSP equal to LR. LR is 80 feet. The minimum value you are getting is 100. Take 100. Okay, so whenever you decide something and it is less than minimum, you will take the minimum from the equations. Okay, and vice versa. If you decide on any value which is more than maximum, then you will take maximum. For example, you decided that LSP should be equal to LT plus LR. Tangent runout plus super elevation runout, both. Okay, so LSP maximum is 300 and LT plus LR is, let's say, 400. So obviously you cannot go above maximum value. You will take 300, which is the maximum given by the equation. Okay, so you have three options to select the length of a spiral curve, and you can all these three options are allowed if they are giving you a value within the minimum and maximum range of the equations. Okay, whenever you are going beyond the equations, whenever you are going beyond the range, you will come back to the range and take the nearest value from the range. So if you are going below minimum, you will take minimum. If you are going above maximum, you will take maximum. Okay, now we have an example which we cannot cover today. Okay, so in this example we have a curve. The degree of the curve is given, number of lanes are given, the speed is given, super elevation we want to achieve is given, coefficient of side friction 60 miles per hour speed, normal cross slope is given, and we have to find out TS, SC, CS and ST. Okay, deflection angle is given, total deflection angle capital delta is given, PI is given. Okay, and it's a 2-lane road. Okay, they are saying it's a 2-lane road. Okay, now what I want you to do is, okay, for Sunday we will do it on Sunday, but I'm giving you a homework. The homework is calculate R, calculate LT, calculate LR for this question. The things which you already done. LT-LR we covered today. Radius we have already covered for with the horizontal curve. Calculate these three things when you come on Sunday, and we will start after that. Okay, and I will encourage all of you to do it so that nobody misses out on anything. Okay, I'm assuming that you already know that, so I will not do it in the class. So even if one of you tells me the value, I will go forward from that. Okay, I will not each and everyone to give me the values. Even if one does it, this is enough for me, but it will not be enough for you. Okay, let me tell you, most often people who do not try the numericals in the class have problem in the exam. Problem managing the time. They will not know. Sometimes the values are in fractions. They don't know whether I should put in fraction or in percentage. So try. Okay, so that if you have a problem, you will know right now. Okay, raise your hand if your name comes up. Hissa Ahmad and Ali Khalil. Hissa Ahmad and Ali Khalil. Hissa Ahmad, Ali Khalil. Raise your hand. As I said, it's just easier for me if you raise your hand. Okay. For me. Qusay Ahmad and Mahmoud Isa. Qusay Ahmad, Mahmoud Isa.
Yes.
Qusay, Mahmoud. Yusuf Ahmad Nizam, Ziad Tariq. Yusuf Ahmad Nizam and Ziad Tariq. Yusuf and Ziad.
Yes, doctor.
Yusuf is here. About Ziad, he's not here. Yes, you guys are making it difficult for me, okay? You will lose your own time. Raise your hands. Okay, Hawra Nasir Ali Muhammad. Hawra Nasir Ali Muhammad. Hawra Nasir and Ali Muhammad.
Here, doctor.
Ali is here.
Yes, doctor.
Hawra is here. Sadiq Abdul Hussain, Bayan Yusuf. Sadiq Abdul Hussain and Bayan Yusuf.
Yes.
Sadiq is here. Bayan.
Here.
Balqis Hamad, Hala Munir. Balqis Hamad and Hala Munir. Balkis Hamad, Hala Munir. Balkis is here. Hala Munir. Umar Walid and Abdurrahman Ahmad. Oh, sorry, Abdurrahman Muhammad. Umar Walid, Abdurrahman Muhammad. Umar Walid and Abdurrahman Muhammad. Abdurrahman is here. Okay, Umar Walid. Sara Ali and Umar Muhammad. Sara Ali, Umar Muhammad. Sara Ali and Umar Muhammad. Umar is here. Okay, Sara Ali. Sara Ali. Muntazir Hussain, Saleh Mehdi. Muntazir Hussain and Saleh Mehdi.
Yes.
Muntazir is here. Okay. Saleh, okay, both are here. Good. Ahmad Muhammad Mahdi. Okay, he's here. Sara Khamis and Zainab Ali Ahmad.
Yes.
Sara Khamis. Okay, Sara is here. Zainab is here. Sorry. Zainab is here. Sara Khamis. And Maria Khalifa. Maria Khalifa.
Yes, doctor.
Doctor, section 1.
Section 1. Going for section 1, others can leave. People from section 1, anybody from section 1? Who is from section 1 here?
From section.
Okay.
Brother.
Okay. Okay. Rida, done. Anybody else from section 1? Anybody else from section 1? Okay, so we are done. Okay, thank you. See you guys on Sunday, inshallah. Have a nice weekend. Assalamu alaikum.